Hello adventurers and welcome to the Hero Table, your one-stop shop for all things ttrpg and D&D related. And today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite classes in D&D, the Warlock. The Warlock, it's easily one of the most flavorful classes in D&D, with its otherworldly patrons, eldritch invocations, and pact magic. In fact, it's actually one of my favorite, if not my favorite class in all of D&D. Unfortunately, in my experience, however, a lot of people tend to miss the nuances behind Warlock, just firing off eldritch blasts left and right, or summoning their pack weapon in the case of a hexblade. And while initially exciting, that can get boring pretty quick. And so I'm going to be bringing to you 3 ways to make the Warlock class in D&D 5th edition just a little bit better. But before we get started, do remember to like, comment, and subscribe as it helps feed the algorithm. And if you want to support the channel in a more personal way, do check out my merch links down below. So with all that being said, grab a pint, pop a squat, and let's get started with today's video. So firstly, we want to deepen the relationship with your patron. You see, the patron for a Warlock is a core part of their identity, and unfortunately it's one that is often underutilized in the story, relegating it just to a background mention or something that happened before the game started. But if you want to spice things up, instead of having your patron just be some distant entity in the character's backstory, make them an active force in your character's life. And there is a number of different ways that you can implement this, such as role-playing your patron's influence in real time in the game. Consider working with your DM to create a patron that will actively communicate with your Warlock throughout the course of the game. You could have this be done through dreams, visions, or even direct communication. And it's through these role-play encounters that your patron might do things like give your character advice, make demands, or even test their loyalty. You could also do things like mechanical tie-ins, working with your DM to tie in your patron's overall goal into the campaign itself. For example, if your patron is a fiend, they might demand of you to go out and collect souls of the innocent, or even sabotage a rival demon's plane. And to spice things up even further, completing these tasks could give you unique boons throughout the course of the campaign. Things like additional spell slots, or even unique invocations. But if you're going to be going out completing tasks for your patron, what do you do if you don't agree with the tasks that the patron have set? And that's when you introduce a system of consequences for disloyalty to your patron. In a similar fashion to a paladin who has to follow the rules of their oath strictly or else they risk losing access to their powers entirely, as a Warlock, if you choose to ignore your patron's wishes, there will be consequences. Maybe your powers weaken, or maybe your patron sends its minions to correct your behavior. By doing this, it adds a little bit more tension and drama to your character's behavior and story. For example, a Warlock who has made a pact with a great old one may hear whispers in their ear urging them to go and uncover ancient secrets. Failure to do so, however, could result in the whispers becoming increasingly louder, eventually causing exhaustion or madness. The next thing I want to talk about is customizing your Pact Boon. Now, a Pact Boon is a defining feature of any Warlock, but it can feel a little generic if it's not personalized. And by adding a unique flavor or personalization to your Pact Boon, you can make it feel like a real extension of your character instead of just an option you pick when you hit the right level. For example, if you pick the Pact of the Chain, rather than using the standard summons for that particular pact, work with your DM to create a custom summon that reflects the nature of your patron themselves. For example, a Celestial Warlock might summon a Radiant Phoenix that flies around and emits a glowing aura, whereas a Fathomless Warlock might summon a small tiny Kraken or a miniature Triton instead. Now, if you're running with the Pact of the Blade, maybe make your weapon a sentient being tied to your patron's influence, giving it its own goals, ideas, and whims, things that you as the Warlock have to follow in order to make the weapon work with you cohesively. For example, a Hexblade Warlock that picks the Path of the Blade might have a weapon that hungers for vengeance, and it may even give bonuses when fighting specific enemies. And lastly, if you pick the Pact of the Tome, maybe turn your Book of Shadows into a living grimoire, one that grows new pages as you level up, contains forbidden knowledge, or even allows you to commune directly with your patron. And if you work with your DM, you can even create things like homebrew rituals or custom spells that are embedded into your grimoire that you can use to spice up your character. And the last piece of advice that I have for the Warlock is the introduction of a personal quest or curse. You see, many Warlocks often make their pacts out of desperation or ambition, and these deals rarely come with very few strings attached. And by adding a personal quest or curse to your character's pact, you can create an ongoing sense of growth or stakes for the character's development as you continue to play. For example, one that I'm running myself right now is a quest for freedom. Maybe your Warlock wants to sever the pact they made with their patron and regain control of their own life. This means that over the course of the campaign, their end goal being to sever the pact could require them to find dangerous components, work with powerful allies, or even partake in exceedingly dangerous rituals. Or you could implement something like a growing curse that accompanies your pact. As a direct result of the pact that you made with your patron, maybe your warlock has been cursed with an affliction that continues to grow stronger and more devastating and debilitating as time goes on. For example, maybe a hexblade warlock is slowly transforming into a shadowy entity, losing control in their own humanity as time goes on. And this could be reflected throughout the course of your campaign through things like cosmetic changes, maybe turning into a shadowy figure, developing small bags under the eyes that eventually change until you're emanating dark shadows from the actual eyes themselves. It could change things in roleplay, making your character become more somber and desolate as their personality is overridden, slowly being drawn into the very weapon that they use themselves. Or it could even affect them on a mechanical level, making them be more susceptible to things like radiant damage as the campaign goes on and they slowly lose themselves to the blade. Or lastly, and a personal favorite of mine, the implementation of a rival warlock. You see, some patrons have multiple warlocks, and those other warlocks could very easily see your character as potential competition in gaining favor of the patron. And these potential rival warlocks could show up one or multiple times throughout the course of the campaign, potentially challenging you to usurp your position as the patron's favorite, or even sabotaging your efforts to complete your quests or goals. So in summation, the Warlock class is already rife with rich potential, but by deepening the relationship with your patron, customizing your Pact Boon, and adding things like personal quests or curses, you can really take your experience with your Warlock to the next level. And these things not only make your Warlock more engaging to play for you, but also give your DM hooks that they can use to weave things into the story, making the campaign ultimately more fruitful not just for you, but for everyone else at the table. But that is all the time I have today, adventurers, so thank you for stopping by the Hero Table, and as always, may your rolls be critical, may your adventures be legendary, and I'll see you at the table.